Hello, happiest of folks to you. I hope you guys are just having an absolutely amazingly awesome day today. One of the best in your life. Alrighty, so I've been reading a lot of Forgotten Realms novels recently for you folks. I picked up, when the first Forgotten Realms novel was published by Douglas Niles in the Dark Walk on Moonshade, I actually picked it up right then when it was published, right up. Followed him up the Mutt. I also read the second one, The Crystal Shard, by a certain R.A. Salvatore. He became my favorite author, and today I probably when I went to move, I actually have a box of his stuff because his stuff was heavily influential. And I've gone back and reread that stuff. All I have the other stuff, and then some other stuff like that was published early, like Spellfire by Ed Greenwood, the guy who created it, and then he actually created the world for like miniatures and stuff like that. But then when Dungeons and Dragons was added, he adopted it too, and so for his campaigns and such. So he sold it for a nominal fee. With the idea that they would sort of, embrace him showing them the realms and making some drawings, writing some books and that sort of stuff. So basically, that's the kind of the key stuff that was happening. His thing, Spellfire, loved it. Lots of it was hacked to pieces. I actually just recently went back and read the extended edition too. So I've gone back and actually read the 10 novel series of some of his things by Salvatore first a couple of years ago. And then I've gone back and read the Spellfire stuff by Ed Greenwood. I love his stuff too. I think he's one of the best writers because he just understands the realms, even if it's been hacked. And then the other thing I typically would go back to is the Pools of series, Pool of Radiance, Pool of Darkness, and Pool of Twilight. So I've just recently gone back and read those for folks like that too. And then I thought, why don't I do something that I didn't normally do? And that's the Event novel series from 1989. All 3 books were published. This sort of moves Dungeons and Dragons to the Forgotten Realms to sort of the next level of Dungeons and Dragons. It makes a lot of changes. It adds wild magics, it adds dead zones, and that sort of thing. In this book, Waterdeep, it's said here it's by Richard Allinson, but I think it's actually Troy Denning. That sort of thing will take us home. Now, the first 2 were written by Scott Cianson, and I just didn't care for them as much. The first book, I started off, I was between a 6.5 and a 7. I decided to give it a 7 because I thought the ending was strong. But like the last couple of pages, but after that, like the surprise, shock ending didn't feel like it represented the heroes that it was supposed to, and that sort of a thing. In the next one, I gave Chantress, I gave it a 6 to, but I have gone back and given it a 6.5. I just don't feel like it's like that. Surprise! Look at look at how bad our good guys that we know from Ed Greenwood's novel are actually good guys, right? Acting and that sort of stuff. I just don't feel it. I didn't feel it then. I felt it even less with the second novel, giving like a third of that plot line to that before it was resolved. I just didn't like that much. It didn't feel like it was appropriate to the story, right? And that sort of a thing. So there you are. But this one, they changed the author from Scott Cianson. I think so ideally they have tried to sort of build this up over time. And that sort of a thing. But I don't like how our characters in the first party on, or first introduced, except for Midnight, aren't exactly the best of people. You have the vain Eden, cleric of Suni, the goddess of beauty. You've got Nasarek, the thief, who's definitely destined for some dark stuff, doesn't whack well. You've got the misogynistic Kalimvor, who doesn't want women coming along this journey because it's a man's work, right? And that sort of thing. He's kind of a mercenary too. I didn't like them. I didn't like their thing. Now I know you're going to say, but Abe, it was a darker, it was 89. It was right before the 90s, right, when everything was grim and dark, right? And such. I hear you. Like comics and that sort of a thing, and you just got to go back and sort of read it with that mindset. And also, it was sort of avant-garde. Having a party of adventurers that just didn't like each other was very avant-garde. It's much more realistic. I hear you, but I like my heroes to be, heroes, and my villains to be like villains. I didn't like what they do with Storm, or how they change, or Morngrim, Shadow, how they changed them, or how they have darker characters here today. I just don't like that. I just don't think it suits my purpose. Does that make sense? And so I didn't like that. And so I don't think it sets it up well. But I do think that Louder's delivery here is better than either of Scott Cianson's lesser attempts at this. So basically, the idea is he's going to take us home. So here's what's happening in the realms. In the first couple of chapters, we find out that the gods have stolen 2 tablets of fate that sort of tell what each of the gods' titles are and what the realms are, and that sort of a thing. And 2 of them stolen from his guardian Helm. And they're going to be cast down. We'll find out very early on those are being. And the god of strife, who's the lord of Merkel, and he's definitely a heavier guy. So lord of Central Keep and stuff too. He's a huge god. And then the other one's Merkel, lord of the dead. And they two have allied up. And that sort of a thing. And then all the gods are cast down, and the realms that have not, and they're now trapped. They can't come back until they bring the tablets with them, if you will. And then also you have all these other things that are happening with them too, like the like magic isn't working well at all. Cleric magic doesn't work within a mile of the clerics. They have physical identity, so they can die into avatars and that sort of thing. And so it's a dark time of troubles. That's it's called. And so again, this was sold at the time as the Event Trilogy of the thing, and that sort of thing. So I picked it up and read it, but I haven't gone back and read it because again, I just don't feel like I really sort of lived up to it. As our 2 heroes go out on a quest to find the 2 tablets of fate and return them to the gods. Makes sense. I just don't feel it because I didn't feel these characters. Make sense? That's basically what's happening here. So basically, in Enchantress, they find the Temple of Enchantress in book 2. Now in book 3, they're heading to Waterdeep and trying to find the final tablet of fate and then return to them and such. And so that's basically the setup of what's happening. Make sense? Makes sense. Alrighty. So there you are. So that's basically what's happening. Again, I'm giving this a 7 out of 10. For the conclusion and such. Alright, so there you are. Have you read these? And if so, tell me what you thought about it, right? Do you agree or disagree, right, with my thoughts? I'd be happy to talk with you about with my 7 out of 10. Alright, and there you go. Be happy to engage with it further. As a reminder, I'm not a trained sort of literary critic. I didn't study English in college or study political science. I actually taught it as a political science lecturer too, right? So your opinion will be just as valid as mine is. So I'd love to sort of engage with it further. But again, try to keep it spoiler free. I know it's been decades ago and that sort of thing, but please keep it spoiler free for your show. I also do video game reviews on Wednesday. I do older modules in Dungeons & Dragons, or reviews in Dungeons & Dragons, or war games and Battletech 2, and that sort of thing. So check this out too if you like that. And then on Saturday, I do CRL Saturday, dedicated to the forgotten sort of storytelling genres of stories. I've just started the Zorro series. I don't know if you'll see this when it happens, but check this out too. Alrighty, so there you are. And then I do 3 other reviews a week of older things in this genre, like fantasy or science fiction or horror too. Alrighty, so there you go. So if those 7 things sound like your cup of tea, well then welcome to the channel. Have a seat. Take your shoes off. I think you'll enjoy your time here very, very much. Do all the YouTube stuff like the subscribe button, the like button, the bell icon to notify my videos, the watch button, and just watch and share. Those are the good ways to grow. Alright, and so there you go. As you can tell from the channel's title, and also all these other things, it's the passion. It's also where the title comes from. The worst thing about new books. That's a quote by a French philosopher, Jacques Joubert, who said that the worst thing about them was that they kept us from reading the old ones. This is definitely some more of the stuff we might have forgotten about in our passion for the new novel, video game, or movie. Alrighty, so, and also it also helps to learn more about these things to read about too. Alrighty, so there you go. Thank you so very, very much, for just taking some time out of your day and investing it and watching my video, because we all have so many things, right, that are happening in our lives, and we're pulled in so many different directions too, right? So the fact that you spent this time with me, that's incredibly humbling, and I appreciate it so very, very much. So thanks again, and have an amazing day.